Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Reni Kurniawati from the University of Ibnu Khaldun Bogor, a Master of Educational Technology. I will present a research titled The Effect of e-learning based problem-based learning method toward learning output in Bahasa Indonesia course. First, introduction. The learning outcome of SMPIT Al-Kafi students, especially in Indonesian language subject, have not been optimal. Even though this subject is a compulsory subject and must be a pioneer to advance the Indonesian nation. This uncertainty is certainly influenced by ineffective learning method. In addition, there also the inactivity of educator with student, which is a factor in learning outcomes that do not meet the minimum completeness criteria. Not to mention the lack of time for face-to-face learning, so that the learning objective have not been achieved. The learning method that can be used so that the interaction of educator and students is more effective is problem-based learning. According to Sofian and Komaria, problem-based learning is useful for helping students to develop thinking skill, solve problems, learn by connecting themselves and the real world. Learning is present with a problem that exists in real life, so that students can then come up with a solution. The solutions can be in the form of products, videos, presentation, and so on. Ease of access to IT assistant learning can be an alternative to the narrow face-to-face time. One such access to learning is the use of e-learning. Material and exercise can be accessed anytime and anywhere with the use of this e-learning. E-learning that can be used is Learning Management System or LMS. Students can also discuss with educator via chat. The result of the research FGVIA also explained that there was an increase in learning motivation of University Ibnu Khaldun Bogor student after learning using e-learning. Students also have higher learning motivation than students who use conventional learning. Therefore, for the maximum learning outcome of SMPIT Al-Kafi students, even though time is limited, problem-based learning method can be collaborated with the use of e-learning. In this study, it focused on the application of problem-based learning based on e-learning in Indonesian subjects. The e-learning use is LMS with the address mandiri.smpitalkafi.sch.id. This study aimed to 1. Determine the use of e-learning in Indonesian language learning. 2. Analyze the learning outcomes of students with problem-based learning. 3. Analyze the attitudes of students in problem-based learning based on e-learning in Indonesian subjects. Method. This research is an experimental study using a pre-test, post-test control group. The sample used is class 7 SMP ITL Cafe with the detail of one experimental class with a total of 24 students. Give a learning-based learning, and one control class with 32 students give conventional learning as a comparison. Data collection was obtained by conducting pre-test and post-test, as well as attitude assessment. In analyzing the learning outcomes, the scores data were processed in stages, namely calculating the group average value, minimum, maximum, standard deviation, and variation using SPSS 16. Then test for normality, homogeneity, the similarity of the two means, and the t-test. Then the attitude assessments focus on assessing the activeness of students. Results and discussion. To analyze the learning outcome of students in Indonesian subjects, pre-test and post-test were carried out. The findings show that there is an increase in learning outcome in the experimental and control class. The average learning outcome of students in the experimental class were 83.4 for pre-test, 92.1 for post-test, while in the control class they were 88.9 for pre-test and 93.8 for post-test. Based on the analysis of research data, the proof using SPSS 16 indicates that the original abilities of the control students and the experimental class are homogeneous and normal. Furthermore, the two classes received their respective treatment. The experimental class was given treatment with a learning media, while the control class received normal learning media treatment. The results of the t-test show a significant value of 0.02 less than 0.05. This shows that there is a significant difference in the experimental class that use the learning-based PBL with the control class using conventional PBL. Nor M. Elvin states that learning using e-learning is so attractive to students with various activities and tasks that it has a positive impact on learning outcomes. The attitude assessment observes was then students were able to agree, ask, or answer during the discussion. Students were able to present in front of the class, and students like to give response in front of the class. With this kind of specification, attitude assessment is more focused Each component is given a score of 1 until 4 with a category of score 1 never, score 2 rarely, score 3 often, and score 4 always. Then, to find out the attitude category, the score obtained if divided by the maximum score multiplied by 4. In accordance with Permendikbud number 81 year 2013, very good, good, enough, and less. After calculating, it was found that 9% of the students in the control group had a very good active attitude. 16% had a good attitude, and 75% of the students were less active. Meanwhile, there were 33% of the students in the experimental group who received very good score. 54% of students who received good scores, and 13% who were less active in learning. It can be seen that the experimental class is more active in a learning-based learning. So, the experimental class can be more active in learning. Students can get a variety of learning resources from the internet. Learning atmosphere is more conducive, active, and enthusiastic student. Learning on e-learning is not just centered on educator. Students take advantage of the time more optimal. So, conclusion, this research 1. E-learning is very much used in learning Indonesian. The learning outcome of students experiments a significant difference. The use of e-learning in learning is more interesting. Students are more active. It is hoped that school can optimize the use of e-learning.